The last week of December is a scam. It's the only time of year when you can glue a string of blinking lights to a wall and suddenly everybody pretends your life is magical. The living room looks like an Instagram ad for cozy family vibes. The tree stands proud like it's auditioning for a Christmas movie. There are gift boxes under it with bows so perfect they look factory-made. And if you just zoom out far enough, you might miss the fact that the marriage inside that room is slowly being unplugged. We had the decorations. We had the holiday playlist. We had the little cinnamon candles that smell like a bakery's personality. We had everything except connection. My wife Maya had become a professional ghost. Not in the sad, lonely way. In the physically present, mentally in another time zone way. She was always on her phone. Not loudly, not dramatically. Nothing you can confront without sounding like a control freak. Just constantly. Thumb flicking, screen glowing, a tiny smile that appeared like a reflex. The kind you don't give to your husband of 7 years. When I'd enter the room, the screen would tilt. Not a full hide, just a subtle angle. Like she was guarding state secrets. At first I told myself, maybe she's planning a surprise. Then I remembered I'm not a golden retriever. I can smell weirdness. "Hey," I said one evening, leaning into the doorway of the kitchen. "You good?" She didn't even look up. That's not an answer. That's a noise. She sighed like I was asking her to solve global warming. "I'm fine." "Okay." I nodded. "So you're fine. Your phone is fine. The wall behind your phone is probably fine too." That got me a glance, half a glance, the kind you give a waiter when he brings the wrong drink. "Can you not do this right now?" she asked. "Do what? Speak?" "Push." I blinked. "Push?" I walked in and asked if you're good. And I said I'm fine. "Right," I said slowly. "And I'm supposed to accept that the same way people accept the package is arriving today, between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. She rolled her eyes and went back to her phone. There it was, the pattern. Any attempt to get close got sliced into tiny pieces with the same 3 phrases, rearranged like a defensive spell. "I need space." "I'm tired." "You're pressuring me." It was impressive, actually. Like she had an internal wheel of excuses and just spun it whenever I got within emotional range. And what did I do at first? I tried to be better. Because men are trained that if a woman pulls away, it's probably because you failed some invisible test you didn't know you were taking. So I got quieter, softer, less needy, less present. I stopped asking questions, stopped trying to hug her in the hallway, stopped reaching for her hand on the couch. I basically started treating my own home like a library. The funny part? The more I backed off, the more she seemed relieved, not happy, not peaceful, relieved. Like she'd been waiting for me to disappear without her having to say it out loud. 2 days before New Year's, we were wrapping gifts at the dining table. Paper everywhere, tape sticking to everything except what it was supposed to stick to. I handed her a box. "Is this for your sister?" She barely looked. "Yeah." I watched her hands move, efficient, emotionless, like she was packing evidence. "You've been kinda distant," I said, keeping it casual. Her jaw tightened for half a second. "I'm just overwhelmed," she replied. "Overwhelmed by what?" "We're not raising wolves. It's December." That got a small, fake laugh, the kind you'd give a coworker you hate. "Life," she said. "Life is doing numbers this year," I agreed. "But you're acting like I'm not part of it." She finally looked up. Her eyes were calm, too calm. Like she'd rehearsed calm. "I can't do this conversation right now," she said. "I'm not trying to start a fight." "I know," she said, and that somehow sounded worse. "I'm just tired." There it was again. Tired. Space. Pressure. She stood up, phone already in hand like it was a medical device. "I'm going to take a shower." "Sure," I said. "Say hi to your secret second life for me." She froze for a second. Not long, but long enough. Then she turned and gave me a look that said, "Don't be dramatic. I don't have time for your paranoia." Paranoia. That word landed like a soft slap. Not enough to leave a mark, but enough to remind you who's allowed to feel things and who isn't. I didn't respond. Not because I was scared, because I was watching. I've learned something about relationships. When someone keeps insisting you're overreacting, it's usually because your reaction is inconvenient to their plans. On the 30th, she started running errands more than usual. "Need anything?" she asked, already halfway out the door. "Honesty," I said, "but I'll settle for milk." She didn't smile, didn't snap back, just did that neutral face again and left. I stood there, alone in the hallway, listening to her car start, watching the blinking lights reflect off the window like tiny mocking fireworks. And that's when it hit me. Not as a thought, but as a feeling. I wasn't in a marriage that was struggling. I was in a marriage that had already moved on, and hadn't told me yet. That night, I opened my phone and checked her profile. Still there. Normal. No weird posts, no photos of us, obviously. Those had vanished slowly over the past year, like she was clearing shelf space. I didn't scroll far. I didn't go full detective. I'm not proud of it, but I'm also not stupid. There's a difference. The next morning, I tried again. Direct. "Talk to me," I said while she was making coffee. She didn't look up. "About what?" "About us." A pause. A sip. The sound of the coffee machine like a judge clearing his throat. "I just need you to not push," she said. I laughed once. Short. Sharp. "You keep saying that, like I'm trying to wrestle you into a moving van." Her eyes flicked to me. "You're exhausting." "Yeah," I said, nodding. "It's exhausting being married to someone who treats you like a pop-up ad." That got a reaction. Not anger, irritation. The kind that says, "How dare you notice?" "I don't want to fight before New Year's," she said. "Then don't," I replied. "But not fighting isn't the same thing as pretending everything is fine." She put her mug down carefully, like she was placing down a weapon. "I'm just trying to breathe," she said. "I need space." From me. She hesitated. Not long, but long enough. And there it was, the crack in the perfect holiday picture. Because if the space you need is from your husband, that's not stress. That's a decision. I didn't chase her around the kitchen. I didn't beg. I didn't do the wounded puppy routine. Instead, I smiled, polite, almost amused. "Okay," I said. "You want space? Got it. Just don't be shocked if you get it." Her eyebrows twitched. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not going to argue with your mood swings like they're weather," I said. "If something's wrong, say it. If nothing's wrong, stop treating me like I'm a problem you're forced to tolerate." She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Then she picked up her phone again, which told me everything. New Year's Eve was coming, and whatever she was planning wasn't going to include me. New Year's Eve always has this weird pressure to be symbolic. Like if you kiss at midnight, the universe stamps your marriage with a quality seal. If you don't, it's a bad omen, a sign, a prophecy, a whole Netflix documentary waiting to happen. That day, I kept things normal on purpose. Not because I believed in the everything is fine fantasy, but because I wanted to see her play her part when the spotlight was on. I cleaned the kitchen. I set out 2 champagne flutes. I even put on one of those stupid cozy sweaters that make men look like a festive sofa. She walked past the tree without looking at it once. She also didn't ask about dinner, didn't ask about plans, didn't say, "What time are we going to your parents?" Or, "Should we invite anyone?" Nothing. She was moving through the house like she was already somewhere else. Around 7 p.m., I was chopping vegetables. The kind of domestic activity you do when you're trying not to scream into the fridge. And she wandered into the kitchen with her phone in hand like it was an emotional support animal. "Can we talk?" she said. That sentence is never a good sign. It's basically incoming damage. I didn't stop chopping. "Sure. Are we talking like adults? Or are we doing the thing where you use therapist words to avoid saying what you mean?" She blinked. "What?" "Nothing," I said. "Go ahead." She leaned against the counter, calm, soft voice, gentle eyes, like she was about to tell me she donated a kidney. "I've been thinking," she began. Dangerous hobby, I replied. That earned me a tight smile. Please don't. Don't what? Don't do the calm voice, I said. I grew up around polite arguments. That tone means you already decided, and now you're just trying to keep me from reacting. She exhaled, like I was ruining her script. Maya, I added, finally turning to look at her. Say it. She hesitated for a beat, then delivered it like she was offering me a self-care tip. I think we should start the year with a pause. I stared at her. A pause. Yeah, she said, nodding quickly. Just a couple days. It's not a breakup. A pause. In a marriage. Like we're buffering. Like our relationship needs to restart the router. I put the knife down. Not dramatically, just carefully. Because I didn't want to accidentally chop my own finger off and spend New Year's in the ER explaining to a nurse that I got injured while being emotionally murdered. What exactly is a pause? I asked. She softened her face, as if I was a child asking why the sky is blue. I need to understand myself, she said. I've been feeling overwhelmed and I just need space. Space from me, I said. She didn't answer directly. That told me the answer was yes. I'm not saying you did something wrong, she added fast. It's not like that. I need to breathe. I nodded slowly. And the way you breathe is by putting your husband on airplane mode. Her eyes narrowed. Why do you always have to make it sound bad? Because it is bad, I said. You're not asking for a nap. You're asking to suspend the rules of a marriage. She crossed her arms, defensive. It's not like that. Okay, I said. Explain it like I'm not in a sitcom. She looked annoyed that I didn't immediately crumble. It means, she said carefully, we take a couple days. No pressure, no expectations. No expectations, I repeated. What does that include? Talking? Living in the same house? Acting like we're still married? Her jaw tightened again. It includes you not writing me, she said. Not calling, not showing up where I am, just letting me have my space. There it was, the rule book. I tilted my head. Where exactly are you going to be? She waved a hand. With friends. I don't know. I just need time. Time, I said. And also, I'm not allowed to contact my own wife. I'm not your property, Patricknula Ona, voice sharpening. I laughed once because the comedy was writing itself. Right, I said. Wanting to speak to my wife is ownership now. She glared. You're twisting my words. No, I said. I'm translating. There's a difference. For a second, the kitchen felt small. The lights were warm, the house smelled like holiday food, and we were standing there like strangers negotiating a contract. I leaned my elbows on the counter and looked at her with a calm I didn't feel. Let's be specific, I said. You want a pause? Define it. She inhaled, like I'd asked her to do math. I just need a couple days, she said again. That's it. And what happens in those couple days? I asked. We don't talk, we don't text, we pretend each other doesn't exist? She pressed her lips together. Maya, I said, voice quieter, not softer, quieter like a warning. Are you asking for space or are you asking for permission? Her eyes flicked, just once. Permission for what? She shot back. That's the thing about lies. People get offended too quickly. I watched her face. No tears, no guilt, no visible pain, just irritation. Like I was a problem that wouldn't stop asking questions. Okay, I said. Let's go with your version. A pause, 2 days. She relaxed slightly, like she'd won. But, I continued, holding up a finger, if you want to pause our marriage, then you don't get to also control what I do. You don't get to say, don't write me, like I'm a dog you're training. Her eyes widened. I'm not controlling you. You literally just gave me a list, I said. That's control wearing a self-discovery costume. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Because there wasn't a great comeback to, you gave me a list. Finally, she said, I just don't want you to pressure me. You always... Stop, I interrupted. That surprised her. She wasn't used to me cutting through the fog. I'm not doing this, I said. I'm not going to sit here while you turn normal marriage things into pressure so you can feel morally clean about pulling away. Her face hardened. So what, you're saying no? I met her eyes. I'm saying I don't agree to mystery terms. She scoffed. It's just a couple days. Then it should be easy to explain, I said. Silence. She looked away first. That told me plenty. Here's what we're going to do, I said. If you need time to think, you can take it. But don't dress it up as not a breakup while you act like a single person. Her eyes snapped back. I never said I was acting single. You haven't said much of anything, I replied. You've been hinting, dodging, and blaming me for noticing. She stepped closer. You're making this bigger than it is. Because you're making it smaller than it is, I said. My voice didn't rise. That was the key. Calm is terrifying when the other person is trying to provoke emotion to label you as unstable. She stared at me, then sighed dramatically like I was exhausting her soul. I can't do this right now, she said. This is exactly why I need space. Of course, the classic move. The moment you ask for clarity, you become the reason clarity is impossible. I nodded. Fine. Her shoulders loosened again. She thought fine meant surrender. But fine from me meant, I'm done negotiating with your fog. Now I'm observing. She grabbed her purse like she'd already packed it mentally. I'm going to head out, she said. Tonight? I asked. It's New Year's, she replied, like that was an explanation. Right, I said. Because nothing says working on our marriage like leaving your husband alone on the biggest couple's holiday of the year. Her lips twitched, annoyed. Don't be dramatic. There it was again. The phrase she used like disinfectant. I gave her a slow smile. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being accurate. She moved toward the door. Halfway there, she turned. Please, she said, voice suddenly softer. Just don't text me. Don't call. Don't do anything that makes this harder. I looked at her, really looked. It was said gently, like a request. But it wasn't a request. It was a rule, a leash. I nodded once. Understood. And I watched her leave. The door clicked shut. The house stayed warm. The lights kept blinking. The tree stood there like a loyal idiot. And I stood alone in the kitchen with 2 champagne flutes on the counter, realizing something very simple. A pause is what people call it when they want to do something they don't want to explain. There's a very specific kind of silence that only exists on New Year's Eve. The kind where the walls are technically quiet, but everything else is screaming. Fireworks cracking in the distance, music leaking through floors and ceilings, laughter punching through windows like sound doesn't respect private property tonight. I stood in the living room with a champagne bottle in my hand, staring at the clock like it owed me money. 11:58. 2 minutes left in the year, 2 glasses on the table, 2 plates still warm from dinner she never came back to. 1 marriage, currently on pause, like it was a damn podcast. I didn't pour the champagne right away. I waited. Not hopefully, deliberately. Because here's the thing people don't understand about moments like this. You don't wait because you believe. You wait because you want to know. 11:59. I checked my phone. Nothing. No Happy New Year. No we'll talk tomorrow. No fake heart emoji to keep the peace. Just silence. I let out a breath through my nose and finally poured the champagne. 1 glass. Just 1. Well, I said out loud to no one, raising it slightly. Here's to personal growth. Midnight hit like a gunshot. Fireworks exploded outside. People screamed like joy was contagious. Somewhere in the building, someone shouted, "I love you," like it was the final line of a movie. I clinked my glass against the edge of the table. To space, I said. May it be everything you wanted. I took a sip. Flat. Cheap. Overpriced symbolism in a bottle. I checked my phone again. Reflex, not hope. Still nothing. I sat down on the couch. the lights from the tree blinking like they were mocking me. I scrolled through old photos without meaning to. Vacations, dinners, random moments where she leaned into me like it was natural. Funny how memories don't disappear. They just stop being invited. At 12:07, my phone buzzed. For half a second, my brain did the thing. Maybe it's her. It wasn't. It was my buddy Aaron. Happy New Year, man. You good? I stared at the screen. That question hit harder than it should have. Me. Yeah. Just ringing in the year with champagne and crippling symbolism. Aaron. LOL. You and Maya hosting or something? I paused. Me. No, just me. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Aaron. Oh, you guys okay? I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't know what to say, because I didn't feel like lying for her. Me. We're on a pause. Aaron. What does that mean? I smirked despite myself. Me. That's the $1,000,000 question. He didn't push. Aaron was good like that. Aaron. Well, you're not alone, even if you're alone. Call me if you need. I put the phone down and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Being alone isn't the worst thing. Being excluded is. I didn't spiral, didn't text her despite the little itch in my fingers that said, just ask where she is. That itch isn't love. It's anxiety begging for relief. And I don't negotiate with anxiety anymore. Instead, I cleaned up, washed the unused plate, put the second champagne glass back in the cabinet, turned off the living room lights one by one. At 12:41 a.m., I went to bed alone. I slept fine, which, in hindsight, should have scared me more than if I hadn't. The next morning, January 1st, I woke up early. Too early for someone who drank alone and philosophized. The house felt different, not emptier, quieter. Like it had accepted a new reality before I had. I made coffee, strong, black, the kind that doesn't care about your feelings. Then, out of habit more than intent, I opened Instagram. Her profile didn't load. At first I frowned. I muttered. That's new. I refreshed. Nothing. User not found. Classic. My first thought wasn't panic. It was logistics. Maybe she deactivated. Maybe she's off social media to find herself. Maybe Mercury is in retrograde and I'm being dramatic. I opened a browser, logged out, typed her name. Her profile popped up instantly. Same photos, same bio, same smug little quote about growth. I stared at the screen, feeling something cold settle in my chest. Oh, I said quietly. That's cute. She didn't disappear. She hid me. Selective silence, targeted peace, a pause, just for me. I wasn't blocked everywhere, just where stories lived, just where reality leaked out in 15-second confessions. I laughed, actually laughed, because this wasn't confusion anymore. This was planning. I put my phone down and finished my coffee slowly, like a man who just realized he's not watching a misunderstanding unfold. He's watching a strategy. And then, because life has a sense of timing that borders on cruelty, my phone buzzed again. A message. From Aaron. Hey. Weird question. Do you know where Maya is? I blinked. 3 seconds passed. Aaron. I just saw her story. Looks like a party. My jaw tightened, but my hand stayed steady. Me. I didn't see a story. There was a pause. Aaron. Oh, hold on. A second later, my phone lit up with a video. I didn't open it right away. I already knew. That's the thing about betrayal. Your body recognizes it before your eyes do. Finally, I tapped. Music. Loud. Bass heavy. Someone laughing too close to the mic. A table full of glasses. More than 2. The camera panned just enough to catch a man's arm resting comfortably beside hers. Familiar jacket. One I'd seen before. Not a stranger. Not a coincidence. Not finding herself. I watched the clip once, then again. Then I closed it and set the phone down gently, like it might explode. I didn't feel rage, I felt clarity. She didn't block me because she needed space. She blocked me because she needed privacy. From the one person who wasn't supposed to see the truth. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the city still shaking off last night's confetti and regrets. Somewhere out there, my wife was on a pause, and somehow everyone knew, except me. I cracked my neck once, slow. "Okay," I said to the empty room. "Now we're getting honest." There's a moment after you see something you weren't supposed to see. Not the explosion. The silence after. That's where the truth stretches its legs. I didn't message her. Didn't confront. Didn't ask Aaron follow-up questions like a desperate intern. I did what calm men do when the picture finally sharpens. I watched. I reopened the story Aaron sent. This time slower. Frame by frame. Not because I wanted to torture myself, because I wanted accuracy. People lie with words. Details don't. First thing, the glasses. 4 wine glasses on the table. Not party plastic. Real ones. Stemmed. Someone had planned this. You don't bring stemware to chaos. Second thing, the music. Not random club noise. A curated playlist. The kind she used to obsess over when we hosted dinners. Same artist. Same tempo. Same mood. Third thing, the jacket. I knew that jacket. Dark gray, clean cut. Slight tear near the cuff that never got fixed. I'd seen it hanging in our hallway once. She'd laughed it off. "Oh, it's just Mark's. He forgot it here weeks ago." Weeks ago. Right. I muted the video and leaned back in my chair. No shaking hands, no racing heart, just that deep, quiet realization that something had been unfolding without my consent. And that's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It's not the act itself that kills you. It's the administration, the planning, the scheduling, the emotional paperwork. I checked her profile again from my account. Still blocked, of course. Because if you're going to sell a narrative, you don't let the audience into the editing room. I opened our chat. Last message. "Please don't text me. Don't make this harder." Harder for who? Certainly not for her. She was out there living her best finding myself era with background music and extra glasses. I didn't reply. Instead, I laughed. A quiet, controlled laugh. The kind that scares people when they hear it later. "Okay," I said. "So that's how we're doing this." I spent the rest of the day doing extremely normal things. Laundry, groceries, gym. Nothing makes you feel more unhinged than curling dumbbells while replaying someone else's lies in your head. At the gym, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stared at it for a second, then answered. "Hello?" "Hey," a voice said, slightly awkward. "It's Mark." "Ah, the jacket." "What's up?" I said, neutral. Maya mentioned you two were, like, taking space or something." I smiled. Of course she did. Preemptive damage control. "Yeah," I said. "That's one way to phrase it." There was a pause. "I just wanted to make sure everything's cool," he said. "Didn't want it to be weird." "Weird, right." "Well," I replied calmly, "that depends." "On what?" "On whether I'm supposed to pretend I didn't see you in my wife's New Year's story." Silence. Not awkward silence. Panicked silence. He started. "You don't need to explain," I cut in, still calm. "I'm not calling to fight. I'm just collecting facts." "I didn't think, no one ever does," I said. "That's how these things happen." Another pause. "She said you were okay with it," he muttered. There it was. I closed my eyes and nodded, even though he couldn't see it. "Of course she did." "She said you guys agreed on a pause." "We did," I said. What she didn't mention was the part where pause apparently means open season. "I swear," he said quickly. "Nothing happened before." "Stop," I interrupted. Not angry, firm. "I don't need the timeline. I need honesty." He swallowed. I could hear it. "She's been unhappy for a while," he said. "She said you didn't really see her." Ah, yes. The classic post hoc justification. "She could have tried talking to me," I replied. "Instead, she blocked me and poured wine." He didn't argue. Because there's nothing to argue with when the facts are stacked neatly on the table. "I think you should talk to her," he said. I will, I answered, when she's done pausing. We hung up. I stood there for a moment, phone in hand, feeling something shift. Not heartbreak, authority, because now I wasn't reacting to confusion. I was responding to confirmation. Later that evening, she finally texted. Just one message. Please don't overthink things. We said we'd talk after a couple days. I stared at the screen, then I typed, then I deleted, then I typed again. I'm not overthinking, I'm just thinking without your filters. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Maya. What does that mean? I smiled. Me. It means blocking me so I don't see your stories doesn't make you honest. It just makes you obvious. No reply. I didn't push. Because here's the thing she didn't realize yet. The moment someone uses rules to silence you, they lose the right to control the conversation. I went to bed that night calm, not peaceful, prepared. Tomorrow wasn't about discovery. Tomorrow was about confrontation. She didn't come back like someone returning from a mistake. She came back like someone returning from a successful business trip. No rush, no apology energy, no visible guilt. Just keys on the counter, coat off, phone face down. A subtle performance choice meant to signal I'm present now. I was already in the kitchen. Somewhere between betrayal and clarity, the kitchen becomes neutral territory. Hey, she said. Hey, I replied. She paused, studying me. I could almost hear her thinking, why isn't he reacting correctly? You're calm, she said. I slept well, I answered. That usually helps. She didn't smile. So, she said, leaning against the counter, I guess we should talk. I nodded. That seems unavoidable. She waited for me to start. When I didn't, she exhaled sharply. I don't want this to turn into a fight, she said. Good, I replied. Neither do I. Fights are emotional. I'm here for clarity. That threw her off. Okay, she said carefully. Then let's be honest. I smiled faintly. That's all I've been asking for. She crossed her arms. We were on a pause, she said. You agreed to that. There it is, I said. Sentence number 1. Very popular choice. She frowned. What's that supposed to mean? It means every explanation you've prepared starts with that line, I replied. So let's address it properly. I leaned back against the counter, relaxed. Yes, I continued. You asked for a pause. You framed it as not a breakup. You asked me not to write, not to call, not to pressure you. She nodded quickly. Exactly. And you blocked me, I added. Her lips tightened. I didn't want drama. Blocking your husband so he doesn't see your New Year's stories isn't avoiding drama, I said. It's editing reality. She rolled her eyes. You're exaggerating. No, I replied calmly. I'm summarizing. She shifted her weight. You're acting like I cheated. I tilted my head. You're acting like definitions are flexible. Her voice sharpened. We were on a pause. I didn't promise you anything. That's true, I said. You didn't promise me anything. She nodded as if she'd scored a point. But, I continued, you promised yourself freedom and assigned me silence. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. She scoffed. You're twisting it. Okay, I said. Let's go slow. No twisting. I raised one finger. Question 1. Did you spend New Year's Eve with another man? She hesitated. Yes, she said finally. Question 2, I continued, unfazed. Did you intentionally block me so I wouldn't see it? She looked away. I didn't want you overthinking. I nodded. So yes. She sighed loudly. Nothing happened. I smiled, not mocking, not cruel. That's irrelevant, I said. Her eyes snapped to me. How is that irrelevant? Because I'm not asking whether you crossed a physical line, I replied. I'm asking whether you crossed a moral one. She shook her head. You're being dramatic. No, I said. I'm being precise. She threw her hands up. I needed to feel wanted again. And the way you chose to feel wanted, I said evenly, was by erasing your husband from the picture. That's not what I did. That's exactly what you did, I replied. You removed the one person whose opinion mattered, so you could enjoy the moment guilt-free. Silence. Real silence this time. Not defensive, not performative. Then she tried again. You agreed to the pause, she said. You can't punish me for that. I shook my head slowly. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm evaluating what that pause actually was. She frowned. What do you mean? I mean this, I said. You weren't confused. You weren't lost. You weren't finding yourself. She swallowed. You were deciding, I continued. And you decided without me. Her voice dropped. I just needed time. And I needed respect, I said. Turns out we needed different marriages. She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. You're so cold right now, she said quietly. I nodded once. Clarity does that. Another silence, then softer, almost desperate. So what? This is it? I looked at her for a long moment, not with anger, not with heartbreak, with distance. Yes, I said. This is it. Her eyes widened. You're just ending it? I'm finishing it, I corrected. You ended it when you turned a marriage into a waiting room. That's not fair, she whispered. Fair would have been honesty, I replied. You chose comfort. She shook her head slowly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know, I said. You just meant to enjoy yourself. That one landed. I pushed myself off the counter and stood up straight. I'm not angry, I said. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to beg. And I'm definitely not going to compete with a man you chose while asking me to stay quiet. She looked like she wanted to argue, then realized there was nothing left to argue with. You can keep calling it a pause if you want, I added. But for me, it was a demonstration. Of what? She asked. Of who you become when you think I'm not watching, I said. I picked up my coffee mug. And that, I finished, is not someone I stay married to. No slam of doors, no dramatic exit, just the quiet sound of a decision being finalized. 3 months later, the house feels bigger. Not emptier. Bigger. That's what happens when you stop tiptoeing around someone else's moods. The walls move back to where they were supposed to be. The tree is gone. The lights are gone. The fake magic of December packed itself up and left without asking for closure. So did she. We didn't turn it into a war. No screaming lawyers, no social media essays, just paperwork. A few conversations that felt like talking to a coworker you used to date, and a mutual understanding that whatever we had wasn't coming back with an update. People ask questions. They always do. What happened? Was there someone else? Couldn't you work it out? I learned to answer with a smile. We paused, I'd say. And then I pressed stop. Some laughed, some didn't get it. That was fine. Every now and then, her name still pops up. A like on an old photo. A story view. Accidental, I'm sure. The funny thing is, I don't even resent her anymore. She taught me something valuable. Not about love, about boundaries. If someone needs to silence you in order to feel free, they're not asking for space. They're asking for permission to leave. And next time someone offers me a pause, I'll thank them for the warning. Then I'll walk away, without waiting for the countdown. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.